who worked with Dennis O'Donoghue on his interview preparation, Braden Swanson, and Amrit Singh. They are unbelievably intelligent young individuals. I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to say about their preparation.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Braden Swanson, and I'm a senior at Razorback Aviation High School.
And I'm Amrit Singh, a junior at Razorback Aviation High School. We're honored to be here today to introduce a man who has already inspired us and many more throughout his career. When we met him back in the spring, he had some pretty remarkable stories about his time as a test pilot.
He is someone who doesn't fear failure, but sees it as a stepping stone to success. He is someone who has also survived falling from a plane without a working parachute. And someone who we've grown to truly admire and appreciate because of his humility, dedication, and overall character.
Mr. O'Donoghue has contributed tremendously to the aviation and aerospace industry through his extensive work as a test pilot for the Marine Corps, NASA, and Boeing as the chief test pilot of the Joint Strike Fighter program, and later through his remarkable leadership at Boeing as the Vice President of Boeing Test and Evaluation and his role in Boeing Defense, Space, and Security.
In April, when we went down to Medford, Oregon to meet Mr. O'Donoghue and his wonderful wife, Kelly, we flew away with some very important leadership philosophies and important life lessons. As humans, we tend to dismiss things that we don't believe and simply take in whatever reinforces our own values. Mr. O'Donoghue emphasized the importance of keeping an open mind.
As a leader at Boeing, Mr. O'Donoghue tried to set the tone for a positive culture and connect with his employees. He believed that when you try to control a large group, it won't be effective. If you're able to create a positive and supportive culture, then the system will be run by the team because they'll want to do the work.
Being able to learn from his life experiences is something Amrit and I will always be grateful for. As we continue on our paths towards careers in aviation, Mr. O'Donoghue's words will act as reminders that no matter who you are or what your role is, appreciating people and coming alongside them rather than standing over them will always lead to a more positive and productive culture.
Coming from parents who immigrated from Ireland to a farm in Pittsburgh, he paved his own way to college and an amazing career. There's no doubt that Mr. O'Donoghue is a pathfinder and an inspiration. Here to share even more about his life, career, and philosophies is Mr. Dennis O'Donoghue.
Terrific. Well, this was fun. Dennis was my boss for many, many years, and later Peter's boss was Phil Condon. So you both get the opportunity here to interview our former bosses. I'm going to go right off, and we're going to jump in. Your call sign in the military was Irish, and many of us still call you Irish. Where's that come from?
Yeah, so I'll get to that. I just want to say, I think that for every pathfinder, before you blaze your own path, you walk along the path that is blazed by others. And for every accomplished individual, you stand on the shoulders of those who have gone before you. And when I think about my own personal journey, the two people pictured here, if we could put that picture back up. This is John Lenihan, my maternal grandfather, and this is Mary Catherine Knoxon. And in so many ways, my journey started 89 years ago with these two individuals who had the courage to leave their homes in Ireland, not really knowing if they'd ever see their families again, and come to America in search of nothing more than an opportunity for a better life for them and the families that they were going to build together. They arrived within 6 months of each other, just in time for the Great Depression. How's that for time?
Lucky.
And it was tough for anybody to get through the Great Depression. Try being a relatively uneducated poor Irish immigrant. And the fact that they were able to work through the Depression, raise a family, and instill those fundamental values that that really sustained me throughout my career. In so many ways, I owe so much to those two individuals. And I wish they could be here tonight. And I'd love to be able to tell them, the journey, 89 years in the making, that led me to this stage tonight, started with you.
Well, they cast that on your
Yeah, so growing up in an Irish household, no surprise that my mother married an Irish immigrant. Tom O'Donoghue immigrated to the United States from County Kerry in 1955. And again, relatively uneducated. And again, not much money, no promising job, but he had a wealth of ambition. My father is to this day the hardest working man I have ever met in my life. He'd worked 2 or 3 jobs. And the remarkable thing about my father was he had this uncanny ability to know when to give in without ever giving up. If he found the door closed, he just went around the side of the building through the window. That was him. He never took no for an answer. I can remember my mother borrowing my grade school mathematics book and teaching my father fractions and decimals. And he turned around and not 6 months later, got the highest score on the real estate exam that was being offered through the University of Pittsburgh. He was a remarkable guy. And that ability to give in without ever giving out served me very well during some very challenging times in my career. And again, he passed away 10 years ago. If he were here, he would be regaling me with stories. But just a tremendous individual, and had so much to do with who I am. But anybody who knows my family and knows me will tell you right away that I am my mother's son. And my mother was really the rock of the family. And she raised 7 children, me and my 6 younger brothers and sisters. And my father was working 2 or 3 jobs. She really was the center of gravity for the family. And the fact that all 7 of her children are so successful really is a testament to her and who she is as a person. And as you go through life, your heroes come and go. The one consistent hero in my life is my mother. And she's here with us tonight.
So Dennis, obviously from the picture, you were an airplane guy early on.
This first of all, Mom, I didn't appreciate you dressing me up at the age of 14. But yeah, this is a picture of my father and family friend John Haggerty, and that's me at the age of 4. And you can see what's in my hands. An airplane, a simulated airplane was always in my hands. And my mother will tell you that I just would spend days in the backyard flying the airplane around, making all kinds of interesting noises. Or just laying in the grass and watching 707s and DC-8s flying overhead at the Greater Pittsburgh Airport.
Yeah, you shared with us a really cool book here.
Yeah.
This is you with the JSF in the background, and that little book.
Yeah.
Kind of zoom in on that.
Yeah, so this is here's the book. So this is actually a dictionary that my mother gave me when I went to 2nd grade. And when I was in 2nd grade, I wasn't necessarily the greatest student in the world. And I spent an awful lot of time daydreaming about airplanes. And I would draw pictures of airplanes in textbooks, and I would draw pictures of airplanes right on top of the desk, which absolutely infuriated the Catholic nuns who were teachers. And one day, Sister Leah called my mother and asked her to come in for a conference to discuss my rather poor academic performance. So, unbeknownst to me, Sister Leah pulls me out of class into the hallway, and I look and I see my mother walking down the hallway. And I wasn't a good student, but I wasn't stupid either. I knew this wasn't going to go well for me. So I decided I'm going to make a run for it. So I head off down the hall. You remember this one? I ran down the hall, and I ducked into the men's room, thinking surely a nun isn't going to come into the men's room. Well, she comes blowing through the door, which, by the way, I thought was a very serious breach. A very serious breach of bathroom etiquette on her part. And she hauls me out of there by the ear and pulls me down the hall to my mother and then proceeds to tell me in front of my mother that if all I ever did was think about airplanes, I was never going to mount to anything in my life. I've always wanted to find that nut. But the interesting thing about the book is when you look at the back page of the book, I wrote at the age, in second grade, Lieutenant Colonel Dennis O'Donnell of the United States Air Force, and also wrote NASA. Well, it just so happens I worked for NASA, and I was Lieutenant Colonel of the Air Force.
We'll get to all those stories.
Yeah, and a lesson here, I think, for the young high school and college students here is, tell someone if you run into somebody who tells you you can't do something, or you're never going to mount to it just because you don't fit into their box, just put it behind you and never ever give up. Very important lesson.
So one of the things we're going to touch on are lessons. And one of your lessons, it was a simple physics lesson, came via this tractor.
Yeah, so this is my John Deere Model B tractor. And this is my brother Jeff, who was 13 here. We moved out to a farm in western Pennsylvania when I was 11. And immediately I and my brother Jack and my sister Mary Kay were the closest station to me. We were given a lot of responsibility. And I was driving tractors by the time I was 12 and driving a pickup truck by the time I was 13. And
didn't always work out so well.
Didn't always work out so well. Now, this happened when I was 15, and I had 3 years experience by this point, so I was qualified. But this is my first introduction to the concept of center of gravity. And, if we leave the picture up, I rolled the tractor on the hillside, and what had happened, I actually been on that hillside many times before in the farm, and never had any issues, but in this particular case, I hit a groundhog hole on the lower side of the tractor, and it was big and deep enough that it was just enough to tilt the tractor so it exceeded its vertical center of gravity, and it rolled. And the interesting thing about this was, when I was 12 years old, I just happened to be at a feed store, listening to two old farmers talk about another farmer who had just been killed with a tractor rolled over. And I heard him discuss that, that this particular farmer had to try to jump uphill against the roll of the tractor, and then he got caught by the wheel as it came over, and it threw him to the ground and crushed him. And they said, if he had jumped downhill with the roll of the tractor, he probably could have rolled out of the way as the tractor cartwheeled down the hill. And I thought about that when I went home, and I actually visualized that happening to me, and I internalized it. And the interesting thing is, when I hit that groundhog hole, and I saw that the upper wheel was already off the ground, I didn't even think about it. I just went downhill. And I rolled out of the way of the tractor, and I watched the tractor tip down and went, my dad is going to kill me. And I walked away from it without a scratch. And again, a lesson, particularly for the younger folks in the audience, is listen to the wisdom of those who have gone before you. And by all means, don't take it verbatim. Challenge it, analyze it, maybe even question it for deeper understanding. But if it makes sense to you, internalize it. And that saved my life that day. And it actually saved my life a little later on, during takeoff from the ship. And we'll get into that one later.
So you had an uncle that had an airplane.
Yeah, my uncle Tony, he had a Mooney executive, wonderful airplane. He took me for my first flight when I was 14. And I knew at that point that I was absolutely hooked. And I had to get my private license.
So you started taking lessons in the mighty Cherokee.
Absolutely. And I sold this airplane. And, for all the pilots in the room, you know what it feels like the first time you sold an airplane. For that 15, 20 minutes, you are King Kong. You are on top of the world. And I'll never forget that instructor when he said, taxi to the line, and I was going to shut down, and he just said, you stay there, I'm getting out, go do 3 touch and goes, and come on back. I just couldn't believe it. And it's just one of those feelings, right? Alan, you just never lose you that first solo. Just tremendous experience. I finished my license actually in kind of an unusual airplane. This is Varga Cucina. And it was an Italian design, but actually the Cherokee Nation in Arizona actually purchased the manufacturing rights to it, and they built quite a few of these. Fully aerobatic, wonderful airplane to fly, very unusual. Easiest check ride I ever had because the flight examiner had never seen one. And he was so caught up in the airplane, he didn't ask me any questions. And I think he flew half the flight. So I got my private license and moved on from there.
And you got an appointment to the Naval Academy.
I did. I selected to attend the Naval Academy in the class of 1980, which I'm proud to say was the first class with women, which also that also had a very profound impact on my life because I've never served in an organization that didn't have women, quite honestly, in some way, shape, or form. And in many ways, I think the military is kind of ahead of corporate America when it comes to equality. Because I took those things for granted, that they were just equal to me. So, the academy was, it's not a fun place to be, but it was the transformative event of my life, and it set the stage for everything that would come after. Teamwork, commitment, integrity. John McCain just recently said that it was years after he graduated from the Naval Academy before he fully came to appreciate everything the Naval Academy was trying to teach him. And I really identify with that. I'm still coming to appreciate just everything the Academy did for me. And I know we've got some students out here who are applying for the Naval Academy. And I'll tell you, you'll never be sorry, because it's the best thing that ever happened to me.
While you were at the Academy, you had an event that tell us about this.
Yeah, just a small incident. So this is where I learned the power of positive thinking. So I jumped out of the helicopter 5,000 feet intentionally. I had a parachute. I had 2 parachutes. And the main chute failed. It failed to deploy. So, skydivers know that now you deploy the emergency chute. So I deployed the emergency chute, and it was a total failure. It was a streamer. So skydiving is supposed to be fun, but I wasn't having a whole lot of fun at that point. I was coming down fast, and I was out of ideas. But being young and naive, I convinced myself that if I just tuck myself into a really tight little ball, that maybe I just hit the ground and bounce a few times, break a lot of bones, but somehow I'd still be alive. So I pulled my knees into my chest, I put my head into my arms, I got into the tightest little fetal position that you could imagine, called for my mother, and braced for impact. And the most amazing thing happened. Instead of hitting the ground, I hit a tree. And that streamer, the emergency chute, it continued to catch bigger and thicker branches as I came through the tree. And it brought me to a stop 30 feet in the air from the ground. And and when I pulled my head away, I just looked around like this, and I went, huh. The hardest part, the most dangerous part, was the last 30 feet.
So coming out, you drew Harriers.
I did, yeah. I graduated from the academy. I was commissioned as second lieutenant in the Marine Corps, and went through Navy flight training. For folks, the guys who aren't familiar, all Navy, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard pilots go through Navy flight training, and all are considered naval aviators. So I got my wings of gold in '82. I spent a year actually as an instructor right after graduation in advanced jet training. And then I had the opportunity to fly the Harrier. At the time, the Marine Corps would not order you to Harriers. You had to volunteer for it. And I couldn't wait to fly it. The Harrier was a British design. It was manufactured by Hawker Siddeley, later British Aerospace. And as the British used to say in the typical understated way, it was a bit twitchy. It was an unstable airplane, and it could be a real handful of times to fly. But to this day, it was the most fascinating, most thrilling airplane I've ever flown. It was tremendous. That was a tremendous experience.
And you got to fly not only the 88A, which was the British one, but also the 88B.
Yeah, so the 88B was a joint program between McDonnell Douglas and British Aerospace. And the Marine Corps really wanted to build on the experience of the 88A. 88B actually is a very different airplane, and it looks different if you compare the two airplanes side by side. The B was a marvelous airplane, twice the payload of the A, much more range, and probably most importantly, a much more stable vehicle, much more stable. But so stable that the Marine Corps had no problem ordering pilots to go fly it. It just was a very safe airplane to fly. And I had the honor of being in the first 88B squadron in 1985.
Yeah. And you flew it off the boat too, and this was one of your other.
Yeah, this is where listen to the wisdom of those who come before you comes back into play again. Just a little bit about flying around the boat. My first experience flying around the ship was actually a conventional aircraft carrier, the Lexington. And every naval aviator has to qualify on board the ship. And I did that first with the T2 and then with the TA4. And it's hard to describe the feeling when you land aboard a ship for the first time. One, you're really focused on just keeping glide slope with the optical landing system, the meatball. And you occasionally will check, you'll look at the deck just for your line, but then your focus goes right back to that meatball and keeping your speed and keeping the meatball right in the center of the datum lights to keep your glide slope. And as they teach you, you keep flying until you hit the ship. So they always said, let the deck surprise you. You just keep flying, and the ship will let you know when you've contacted it. The only way I can describe what it feels like to go from 120 knots to a full stop in less than 3 seconds is, imagine you're flying along, and a giant hand reaches up out of the ground and just grabs you and pulls you down. And that's what it felt like. It's like flying, flying, flying. I'm stopped. And just like that, it was just dramatic the first time. Just as thrilling was the catapult shot. They put you on the catapult, and on the Lexington, it was a rather short deck, so it was a very powerful all or nothing shot. And you literally are along for the ride at that point. Flying around the ship to this day is the best flying I've ever done. Flying a Harrier on board a ship is kind of a different experience. Unlike a conventional carrier where you catch a wire with a hook and come to a stop, with a Harrier you actually come up aboard, abeam the ship, come to a stop, a hover, and then you translate laterally and then you land on the spot. We used to tell our conventional aircraft carrier friends that it was much more civilized to stop and then land than it was to land and then try to stop. Not that flying a Harrier aboard a ship was just a piece of cake. Moderate to high sea states, it could be a real challenge to get that on the deck. And short takeoffs weren't, a short thing either. The airplane would do a takeoff roll from mid to the out part of the ship and get enough end speed at the end of the ship, the takeoff run at the bow, and then you would throw the nozzles down and fly away. But if you didn't have enough end speed, when you left the front end, bad things could happen. Again, I just happened 2-3 years prior to this incident, I'd been sitting in the ready room. I was listening to 2 old majors. At that time, majors were old to me. And they were talking about a pilot who had gone off the front end with not enough end speed and how the nose pitched uncontrollably up and he sank below the deck of the ship and crashed. Fortunately, he was able to get out. But they talked about had he moved the thrust vector controller in a certain way, that he may have been able to fly out. And it seemed kind of counterintuitive to me, but again, I went home and I thought about that, and I actually drew it out, and I went, yeah, that actually could work. And again, I visualized it, and I internalized it. And then when it happened to me a couple of years later, I didn't even have to think about it. I just automatically started moving that thrust vector controller to control my pitch attitude, and I settled below the deck out of sight, and I fortunately leveled off about 30 feet above the water, and was able to actually control it and slowly gain enough speed to fly away. And again, it's just another example of, listen to the wisdom of the elders. And again, don't take it verbatim. Question and analyze it. If it makes sense, internalize it. It may save your life.
So that led to this squadron.
Yeah, I served in 2 frontline fleet squadrons, and then I was assigned to the Harrier Training Squadron. And if flying a Harrier is adventurous, teaching others to fly a Harrier can be really adventurous. This squadron was Marine Attack Training Squadron 203. To this day, the best squadron I've ever been a part of. You can see me there. I'm sitting on the wing, third from the right. And the gentleman who is all the way to the right, standing up in the front row, was our squadron commander, Lieutenant Colonel John Capo. Under John's leadership, we won the Marine Corps Squadron of the Year, which I think might have been the first and only time the training squadron has done that. It usually goes to a frontline squadron that's out there at the edge of the spear. But under John's leadership, we had tripled our productivity in a year. John is, to this day, the best commanding officer that I've ever worked for. And I'm happy to see John's here with us tonight. He's at my table. John, would you stand up? Just to kind of emphasize the importance of mentorship, John has been my mentor and a good friend my entire life, as are the people, the pilots of that squadron. And also, I'm a part of a lot of very talented pilot groups. This was the best group of pilots, talent-wise, I've ever flown.
Yeah.
Okay.
So from there you went to Pax River Naval Test
Yes,
Pilot?
I was selected for Navy Test Pilot School in 1988. And Test Pilot School was the most challenging of 11 months in my life. It's a tough curriculum. You spend 4 hours a day in class, and then you're off flying an airplane you've never flown before. Or you're writing a test plan or a test report on airplanes. If you're going to fly over, you had just flown. Literally, you studied every night and on weekends. I took Sunday afternoons off, and other than that, I was working all the time.
And how many different airplanes, different types of airplanes did you fly?
Well, I flew 15 airplanes that year. Everything from helicopters to large multi-engine aircraft and modern fighters like the F-18 to vintage aircraft like the P-51. And for your final project, your graduation exercise at Navy Test Pilot School, you're assigned an airplane you've never flown before. You're given 4 flights or 6 hours, whichever comes first. And then you've got 10 days to write a 50-page report detailing the performance, flying qualities, and mission effectiveness of the aircraft. The aircraft I was assigned was the F-14. And F-14 is impressive. I mean, it's a very fast airplane. I took it out to Mach 2.2 with no problem at all. But I was very surprised by the rather poor handling qualities of the airplane. It was not an easy airplane to fly, and not very maneuverable. And in layman's terms, I often said it flew like a supersonic dump truck. It really did. Now for the F-14 pilots, I'm sorry. Compared to another airplane of the same era that I had flown previously, the F-15 has got phenomenal flying qualities. It really is. It's just a marvelous airplane. I guess I expected the same from the F-14, but was very surprised with some of the handling qualities of that aircraft. But that said, I mean, it served honorably in 30 years in the fleet and won a very famous Hollywood movie, and had a very long distinguished career.
And from there, after Pax River, you what assignment did you do?
Well, so I was assigned to testing on the A-8B because even though we had introduced the airplane to the fleet, we still had a lot of testing we needed to do. We had lots of improvements to the airplane that we had to make. So I was assigned to do performance and flying qualities testing on Harrier, but I was also assigned to do the air-to-ground program on the F-14 because I was an attack pilot just dropping bombs, and the F-14, the Navy wanted to add air-to-ground weapons capability to that aircraft. So since I was familiar with it and had done it as my final project, I was assigned to the air-to-ground weapons team on the F-14. I also had the unique opportunity to develop a voice interactive cockpit that we demonstrated on the Harrier. My master's thesis was voice integrated cockpits, and I managed to convince the English Systems Command to fund a project to develop a system and demonstrate it on the airplane. And it actually worked very well. Now, speech recognition technology in the late 80s was in its infancy. There is no such thing as a speaker independent system. You had to train the recognizer to your voice. And so each pilot had to train a recognizer. And we had some very interesting problems we had to deal with. One was, how do you account for the noise created by the flow of oxygen over the microphone in the pilot's mask. And we spent an awful lot of time in noise chambers, modeling it, and we did figure out how to filter that out. The other problem we ran into was the spectral density of voice pattern changes under different G loads. So how do you train a recognizer for that? And we did figure that one out too, but it took a lot of going out at different G loads and recording pilot voice, the spectral density of the voice pattern at different G levels, and then we programmed that into the software. But long before there was Alexa and Siri, there was Vic, voice interactive cockpit, and it was great. I just wanted to say Vic, say altitude, and he didn't tell me what altitude about it. Vic, combat checklist, and would check everything on combat. And proud to say that that actually made its way onto the F-35 program. The Air Force got interested, came down, took the report, and carried it through, and it's now part of the Joint Strike Fighter program.
We'll get to the F-35 in a little bit. You flew the Scooter.